It's time to play ball. Welcome to the podcast with no limits. Whether it be sports, current events, or random thoughts, this is the place to step in and stay a while. Your host is a proud alumnus of Rio Hondo Prep, a former minor league baseball umpire, and a man with strong opinions. Welcome to the Get Home Safe podcast and your host, Matt Hersema.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Get Home Safe. We are down to the final four teams in the NFL postseason. Unfortunately, there are only 3 games remaining after a whole slate of games, a massive schedule back in August, really, when the college football season started up, as well as preseason, if you want to count that, training camps. After 17-game season, a few rounds of playoffs, were down to only 4 teams, and there's really no huge surprises. It is the number 1 seeds in each conference, and then the 2 and respectfully a 3 seed. So no huge surprises there with the postseason, but we've had some great football games, and looking forward to a few more games here to wrap up the 2022 NFL season. Unfortunately, I'm not in a great mood because, of course, those 49ers are still around, still hanging in there. And what can you say? They're one of the best teams in the league. Their style of play is definitely going to take them far, and they just keep winning, man. And I gave praise last week to the Dallas Cowboys and said, hey, you're up for a tall task. Congratulations on your first road victory in the playoffs in 27 years, whatever it is. And so now in this episode, it's my opportunity to, I think, slam them a little bit when they had such a big win last week in the wild card round over Tom Brady and the GOAT and, the great Tampa Bay Buccaneers who won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. But then the Dallas Cowboys, man, they continue to be the Dallas Cowboys. And it's interesting to me that, entertaining, I should say, really, that this must be what it's like when, like, the Lakers are bad, or the Yankees are bad, or can't quite get anything done. Unfortunately, in those 2 respective examples, the Yankees and the Lakers, I have never seen a drought quite like this. The Lakers are in the middle of a very bad situation, or so I've been told. I don't watch NBA basketball, most notably the LA LeBrons. I refuse to support that individual, but I'll get back to it. I care more about the Lakers than one individual or a couple seasons. I can take some time off. It's all good. But my point is, Lakers arguably the greatest franchise in the NBA, right? Most popular, probably, if we're honest. I know Boston, you got more championships, whatever. But did you see how I said Boston, and you guys knew automatically who I was who I was referencing? Because in some cities, it should be your absolute last 2 or 3 teams or cities that you would root for. To me, New York, Boston, and San Francisco, if you're a true LA sports fan. But hey, what do I know? I'm just sitting here doing a podcast, trying to enjoy the last few weeks of my team's defending Super Bowl championship. But the point is, the Lakers have had some bad stretches before, but I can't imagine 30 years in between Lakers NBA championships. I should have looked it up, but I haven't yet. I mean, 88 to 2000, I believe it was. That was quite a long stretch, and that was only 12 years. And, they had some playoff wins in between there, at least getting to maybe not the conference finals. They did get to the finals in 91, I think. But, the Lakers, for their stretch of mediocrity, are still the Lakers, and they turn it around and have been able to piece together some championships, some meaningful wins in their postseason. But this hasn't happened with those Dallas Cowboys, for being America's team, the most popular team in America. For some reason, I don't get it. 30 years now without, let's see, I want to be accurate here. 30 years, 2023 minus, so 27 years now since, I believe, 1996 was that final Super Bowl of the 95 season. I believe. You have to double check my math there. But anyway, 27 years. which is pretty wild. Like, I can't imagine the Lakers going 27 years without an NBA championship. And to put it even in more perspective, without even getting to the championship game. This would be like the Lakers in 27 years not getting to the conference finals, not winning the conference finals, just getting to the conference finals in 27 years. I'm just painting a picture here for America's team, since they constantly throw America's team at me. And I'm doing all this to avoid talking about the team I hate most in the world, the 49ers, which I'll get to in a second. But America's team, we need to change the name, I think, because again, based off of strictly inflation, I don't think this is America's team anymore. I'm sorry. The land of liberty, not the few in the proud, that's the Marines. Land of opportunity, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm not so sure. I mean, the Cowboys are pursuing Super Bowls, I think. But in 27 years, they have yet to even get on the doorstep, not even the doorstep, to get into the Final Four, to win. Well, you just heard that they hadn't won a road playoff game in 30 years, and they finally did that last week. So I guess it's baby steps for these Cowboys. Imagine if this was how the Wild West was run or whatever back in the day. So now let's transition to baseball. How about another sport? How about the other big one? Hockey, I'm not so sure about, so I'll stay off of that one. And soccer, I'm not even going to go there. But in baseball, arguably, it's the Yankees, right? Not only the most World Series championships, but the most popular team in the country for sure. And again, most of this is based off of front runners. Why you would be a front runner and be a Cowboys fan? Like, I would argue there's probably less youth these days rooting for the Cowboys because they don't have any idea that Dallas used to win Super Bowls back in the day. But I would say the Yankees, you look at them, and I think, help me out here, fans, there was a stretch probably between the 80s and maybe not the 80s, because they played the Dodgers in the 1981 World Series. So there was probably a stretch, Matt. You have a computer in your hand. What was the longest gap between Yankees World Series? I can't imagine it was 20 years. Maybe it was. And let's see, longest gap between. I love when they know what you're spelling, and then when they don't know what you're spelling, it drives me crazy. Yankees World Series. All right. The Bombers have posted a winning record for 30. Okay. Yankees World Series drought is among the worst in franchise history. That'll help us, I'm sure. They're speaking Dallas Cowboy language. Okay, this was posted this year, so this will help us. Okay. But again, the Yankees, for the third time since 2017, the Yankees were on the doorstep. This is, of course, from last year's postseason. And again, that is that is them at least being in the mix, right? Let me see. The Bombers haven't had a chance to compete. I know their last World Series was in 2009. So, man, we're coming up on 14 years here this baseball season since the Yankees won a World Series. It's been 13 years. Yeah, there it is. The third longest drought in history. So here we go. World Series gaps for the New York Yankees. Again, this is all to put things in perspective for those very loud Dallas Cowboy fans. The New York Yankees longest World Series drought was between 1903 and 1920, 18 years. 1982 to 95. That's what I was thinking of. I didn't realize there that was the longest, second longest drought. So 14 years after losing to the Dodgers in 81, coming back, I guess, in 82 and doing it. And then, of course, the beginning of that four-peat or whatever it was in the late 90s. So that gives you some perspective. Lakers, what did I say? 12 years, let's say, from 88 until 2000. The Lakers recently, they say they won in 09 and 2010. So I consider them to be on a 13-year drought. I don't count the AAU indoor tournament thing that they did in the Florida, whatever that was. Well, that was one of the only things bad to happen in the state of Florida in the past few years was the Lakers fake championship. But so the Lakers are on another 13-year stretch. So again, we're being generous there with the time frame. The Dallas Cowboys have more than doubled this. And so I'm not getting in a Wikipedia fight here with fan bases and saying, well, there's more championships in the history. Yeah, I know Navy football used to be really good too. And Notre Dame's hung some banners, back when they were playing black and white football too. The point is, we have to stop with this label and this hip popularity thing that is the Dallas Cowboys. I didn't even know all the terms. Fire. That is, I didn't even know the cool terms back when I was a youngster. We created our own stuff. But we got to stop with the whole Dallas Cowboys being the most relevant, a relevant team. That's got to stop. And God bless Jerry Jones. He's an old man. He's trying. He's too involved as an owner, in my opinion, has been forever. They did it right in the 90s, man. But to put things in perspectives, when you look at the three major sports and the three, I don't know what you call them, most popular teams, the most not important teams, but the teams you think, I'll say most popular teams in each sport, and the teams that allegedly are supposed to move the dial, be on national television the most, that are supposed to get the biggest primetime games. And when you think of that sport, you think of that team automatically. Definitely the Lakers, even though they've had some major dry spells. The Yankees, they're flirting with their second, tying their second longest drought with a World Series. But keep in mind, as I just said, this is not just World Championships. Yes, they're called World Championships. This is not just World Championships. This is simply getting to the semifinals, if you will, getting to the NFC Championship game. Hasn't happened since 1996. The last World Series championship for the Yankees was 2009. I don't know if that's when they were last in the Fall Classic. They haven't even reached the Fall Classic. Has been crowned America. Okay, so the Yankees, it's been 13 years since they've been crowned American League champions, but the Yankees have also been in the ALCS, I believe, at some point in there. The Lakers have had some playoff wins, 09 and 10, like I said, winning multiple playoff series. This is putting things in perspective, and maybe I'm spending too much time on this. But this whole "we them boys" nonsense, go Cowboy. How about them Cowboys? Well, how about them Cowboys? How about them? They're a fake pretending team. And I want to talk about fan bases in the NFL here in a second. But they are a team. I want to go on record. I want to lead this charge, maybe alongside Stephen A. Smith. One of the only things I agree with him on in his analysis of sports. We have to put the Dallas Cowboys to bed. This whole popular team, America's team. This has to stop. I respect their organization. Last week, I was actually rooting for them, which was a mistake and stupid. And I shake my head and I'm like, why did I do that? But you got to start thinking, looking internally, Dallas Cowboy fans, accepting that you are not an elite franchise. There's several elite franchises in the NFL, teams that are consistently in the mix, at least, that have had a good resume. The teams I think of are obviously Pittsburgh, Green Bay, San Francisco. I would, not recently, but I would throw Denver kind of in that mix. Teams that have kind of always been around, always the Kansas City Chiefs. I think what they've done the past decade has really put them into the conversation of elite franchises. Oh, but what about the amount of championships? Okay, stop it. Just stop it. The Chicago Bears have the second most or the most world championships in the NFL, and they've been irrelevant for years. So we have to stop putting the Dallas Cowboys on this pedestal. We just have to stop it. The Dallas Cowboys, I would argue, no, who are they like? Who are they like that had a decent history? I would argue the Dallas Cowboys are eerily similar to the Washington Redskins. Same division. Redskins have some great traditions, great Super Bowl wins, right? When they're one of the kind of the blue-blooded programs you think of in the NFL, it's like, man, yeah, historically one of the great franchises in the league. But in recent history, I don't know. That's the comparison I'm going to draw. They changed their name and they did all that nonsense, so they got other stuff going on. But prove me wrong. I think when you look at playoff, again, recent relevance, and you're like, well, you could do that with anything, Matt. You just rewinding 10 years or 20 years. No, I'm okay. How about the 21st century? Let's just talk 21st century. And I think in the 20th century, the Redskins, Cowboys, Very good franchises. And now, they're semi-popular, I guess. I mean, Washington's probably like the third most popular, third most productive entity in the District of Columbia outside of sports or inside sports. And if you know what I mean, what I'm trying to do there, I messed up the analogy, trying to make fun of our government. But I think it's time to put the Cowboys to bed, take them out to pasture, and not just put them out of their misery, but let them know that, you know what, guys, sorry, you spend a lot of money. You're on TV a lot, but you haven't done anything relevant, not even semi-relevant. The 49ers, who I hate, who are in a similar boat, they've been to 2 Super Bowls. They're on the doorstep of another. The 49ers have been in multiple championship games that they lost. They're in the mix. They've been there. They are the 49ers, minus a few years, and it pains me to say this, have been consistent. There's no consistency with the Dallas Cowboys. There hasn't been for years. Internally, there's no continuity. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is. I think it's a curse thing. Maybe it's winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years in the 90s. I don't know, but it's time to stop putting the Dallas Cowboys on a pedestal just because they're from the state of I mean, I'm not saying they're the Houston Texans or the New York Jets, but they're somewhere in that. Again, the Washington Redskins. They are another team in Minnesota. They're the Minnesota Vikings. When was the last Vikings Super Bowl championship? Sorry, it's not about the numbers, the sheer numbers of this many championships of all time. Football's weird where they don't count the non-Super Bowl championships for some reason. I do, because I believe a world championship is a world championship, no matter what you call it. So we can play that game all you want. Just a reminder, the Rams have 4 world championships in the NFL. 1 behind those dreaded San Francisco 49ers. 1? Yeah, 1. 5 and 5. And one behind the Dallas Cowboys. So you want to play the history game? We can do that. Not a problem. Not a problem, Dallas. But you have many problems. The new, Houston, we have a problem. Used to be the NASA thing or Apollo 13. I think Dallas, we have a problem. Is the new method to the madness, we'll say. So maybe I'm just bitter, but I've always kind of had this thing that, again, the Dallas Cowboys, they're the bronze medal of the my hatred of teams on the medal stand for sure. But it's because of it's because of their annoyance. Now, again, the Niners are number 1 with their pretentious and just entitlement, all that stuff. But the Cowboys up there with entitlement. They think they are, this elite franchise. So they're just not anymore. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say. And I made fun of them on opening night when Dak got hurt. And, I said, the Rams Super Bowl champ. And look at the Rams. Had an awful season. 23 different offensive line combinations, injuries. The season was a wash. And I was wrong about that. I wrote the Dallas Cowboys off early in the season. But I should have known better. I should have just been patient and let them fold up, let their fan base get super excited and then fade off into the distance like a tumbleweed. Okay, that's my 2 cents on the Dallas Cowboys. That was a long opener, but Dallas, no longer elite. We got to stop putting them on the pedestal, even though some of the top popular teams struggle, like the Lakers, like the Yankees. They have at least been in relevant, meaningful games in their recent history. Yes, as in the 21st century. Okay, let's get to the winners from the weekend. The San Francisco 49ers played a heck of a game this last weekend over those Dallas Cowboys. Just kind of punched them in the mouth, although Dak Prescott was throwing them the ball quite often. So that was a big factor there. I think going into this NFC championship, San Francisco and Philadelphia, for all of the fantasy football worship we have in this country, for all of the love affairs with the passing games and the highlights and this and that, I like the fact that there's 2 teams in the NFC championship that are very, very similar. And they obviously have some playmakers who can make big plays, as we've seen, Kittle and Samuel and Ayuk, and they got all these guys, great names on the 49ers. But as far as the Eagles go, Brown, AJ Brown. What's the guy from Alabama, wide receiver? Oh, sometimes my names thing doesn't come in, but teams that can make some big plays, but what makes them tick? Running the ball and great defense. And for everyone that has said, oh man, the game has changed so much, remember that Rams Chiefs game 3 years ago, 54-51. This is the new NFL. This is how it's going to be. It's funny how September, October football. All right, fine. Weather changes. Here we are in the postseason. And what do you know? Look around, minus the Chiefs, who has the best quarterback in the league, and the Bengals, who were there last year, have a pretty darn good defense themselves, and probably the second best quarterback in the NFL today. Not polar opposites. I do think, though, that the Chiefs and 49ers, Eagles and 49ers, very similar teams. I think this weekend, and I could be dead wrong, could be another low-scoring game that we saw like Dallas and San Fran, a 19-12. Who had that on their bingo card? I think the Eagles, their defensive front and their offensive front, probably the best combo in the league, and second only, I think, to the San Francisco 49ers, who have obviously an unbelievable pass rush and great protection up front. So if you're a fan of the trenches, this is the game to watch, man. And I definitely am. And some of you guys might sit there all bored. What is this 3 hours of cloud of dust and battling for first downs and sudden change in the kicking game? I'll tell you what it is, what it's going to be on Sunday. It's going to be a football game. It's not this fast break up and down basketball stuff. And now watch, they'll come out and they'll each score 50 points. It'll be something to see. But no, I do think both these teams run the ball well and play pretty darn good defense. Now, can they sling it? It's funny. They got two very young quarterbacks who even played each other in college in Brock Purdy and Jalen Hurts. But so they're not like premier guys, right? It goes to show you your teams could be successful without, top tier quarterback talent. And especially when you got teams like players like that around you. So I'm looking forward to that game. Obviously, who I'm rooting for, as corrupt and as brutal as the city of Philadelphia has fallen, as far as morality goes. It's just right up there with San Francisco and LA and so many other big cities. Now I gotta pull for the Eagles this weekend. And I'm a guy that doesn't always like number one seeds advancing, whether it's the Final Four in college basketball or the top seed in the NFL playoffs. I always like an upset, but I do think that we are going to see both number one seeds advance to the Super Bowl this year. I like Cincinnati's chances because Joe is just playing out of his mind. That team was in the Super Bowl last year. That was not a fluke. He's beaten Patrick Mahomes 3 times in a row. I just can't see a world where he does that a fourth straight time. The only deciding factor, I think, will be Patrick Mahomes' ankle and how banged up he is, and can he move around? We shall see. I don't know. It's a coin flip. There's a reason the experts, games are a point or two as far as the spreads go. And I could see any of the 4 teams not only advancing, but winning the Super Bowl. And that pains me because I only got a 3 out of 4. Let's see. No, I guess that's not terrible, but I got a 75% chance of being happy after the last game of the season, but I have a 25% chance of being miserable. And you guys understand why. So it's going to be great Sunday. I can't wait. I kind of like the 12 and 3:30 kickoffs that they've changed the divisional round to being, which was always Championship Sunday, which I've always been a huge fan of, even liking it more than the Super Bowl, actually, because there's 2 games, obviously. So 12 and 3:30 this Sunday, a great day indeed. No game Saturday. So what are we supposed to do? Mow the yard, we do the laundry, just kind of sit around, twiddle our thumbs, watch some hockey or something while we wait for the Final Four of the NFL? I guess so. We'll come up with something. And it just goes to show you, when you start making those plans, when you start seeing, oh man, this will be the first Saturday without, then you start to realize, oh my goodness, in 2 weekends, I'm not going to have any football left. And again, I talked about it last week. That's kind of when you dive into, college basketball and hockey more. At least I do, because it's hard to watch that stuff for months and months and months because there's games all throughout the week and stuff. But for a month or two, I can really dive in and commit to it. And that's what I'll be doing. I'll be forced to do it, of course. And then once hoops and hockey's kind of done, it's like, all right, let's just get through the summer of baseball. And I used to, again, be umpiring baseball starting up this time of year, but that stuff's behind me and I'm all good with it. So going to be an exciting weekend of NFL football. Can't wait. NFC game first, AFC game second. And I'm curious to see Patrick Mahomes versus Joe Burrow. Of course, some great supporting roles on that side. But I think the Eagles 49ers, man, team football at its finest. And we're going to see some great stuff there. Just can't wait for it. And hopefully, I don't even want to say it. I don't want to predict. I don't want to, you guys know, I can't, I'm nervous. I'm more nervous about a team I hate advancing than I am about my team advancing. And that's what made that NFC Championship game last year just nerve-wracking. And I was sitting back thinking about it last few days, and I'm like, I couldn't sleep for a week. I was laying there so I don't know why I did this to myself as a fan, but we all do that. And you know what, again, I am content. I saw something that I never thought I would see, especially beating their rival in the NFC Championship. So I'm at peace. I am willing to, I sold my soul. I'm willing to sit through multiple bad years of Rams football. It's okay. Sacrifices must be made, and it's all good. I am all for it for the time being. We'll see. Get back to me next year and see how I feel. Okay, I want to get to we talked about the winners. I want to talk about some rough fan bases. And when I think about fan bases, I talked to you in the long intro about the Dallas Cowboys. They're a pretender for sure, but what I want to talk about now is fan bases that I think have suffered tremendously over the years. And to think of it this way, it'd be like the type of, you don't know what it's like to be a so-and-so fan. I used to say this about my Rams quite often, right? Before they came back to LA, and just some rough years. And that used to be the case. Oh, you don't know what it's like. Only the Rams could do that. These major disappointing fan bases, they all think theirs is the worst case scenario. And I quickly, while watching the game, made a quick list of as the Buffalo Bills were getting shredded by the Cincinnati Bengals, coming into the season, Super Bowl favorites, but just did not live up to the challenge there in Buffalo. So I wrote down 5 of the most tortured NFL fan bases. I didn't say the worst. I didn't say the most non-successful, just as far as tortured. And I got a few comments from people, which I'll respond to, but I wrote down number 1 is the Buffalo Bills, because not only did the Buffalo Bills lose 4 Super Bowls in a row in the 90s when they were on the highest of highs, and they're like, oh, we'll be back next year. And the Bills then have had a long stretch of mediocrity, just getting pounded on by the Patriots for years. And then the past couple seasons, they're supposed to have the team that goes to the Super Bowl. They're supposed to have it. They're supposed to be good. They're supposed to do it. And they fall short. And that's why I say Buffalo, I put them number 1. And again, I didn't put a whole lot of thought into this. I just wrote it down real quick. I also think when you're in the city of Buffalo, there's nothing else going on there. The Buffalo Sabres and NHL, okay, fine. But I think that fan base is tortured more because it hurts more with, the weather and everything being as bad as it is. And you're at Buffalo. Hey, I'm from Buffalo. I don't know. It doesn't, I'm a fan of the Buffaloes, the Buffalo that, dances with wolves, all that stuff. But I just think it Buffalo, it just sounds depressing. Yeah, I'm from Buffalo. There's a pride there if the Bills are winning, but if you're not, it's just sorry, man. So at number 2, I put the New York Jets. Yes, some Super Bowl success in the past, but when you talk about teams that should be better consistently, being in the big city of New York, even though they're the little brothers of the New York Football Giants, I don't know. The Jets have just been, when Bill Parcells got there and kind of gave them some resurgence there in the 90s after being with the Patriots and everything. When not Buddy Ryan, Rex Ryan was there, multiple championship game appearances with Mark Sanchez running the show. I mean, those are some good times, but just not quite good enough, right? Not quite good enough. And that's why I put them on the list. These are teams that just came to mind. Number 3, I put the Detroit Lions. Haven't had a playoff win since 1993, I think. And haven't had a world championship since 1950 something or whatever it's been. So they've always been a team that is just like, oh, it's the Lions, right? You see them on Thanksgiving. That's usually their only primetime game. I'm excited for them the next couple years. I think they're going to be successful, especially with the changing of the guard, maybe with the Green Bay Packers. But you just think of the Lions, and other than Barry Sanders, I mean, what do you think about? You're just like, oh yeah, the Lions. They're in that division. They're the Lions. Silver and powder blue. Even though, again, I'm a fan, and Detroit's a pretty great sports city. But as far as like the Pistons, the Tigers, the Red Wings, you got the Lions. It's like, okay, this is why I think they belong on this most tortured NFL fan bases list. At number 4, I put the Southern California Chargers because they're moving around from San Diego up to LA here and there. But the Chargers have always been that, like, they've always been that, like, runner-up prom queen. They've always been that never a bride. What's the saying? Never a bride, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Whatever the saying is, I butcher these things. The Chargers have always been like, no, they're really good. They're gonna do it. This is the year. They go 14-2 and lose in the first round of the playoffs. They got LaDainian Tomlinson. They're on the road. They're making playoff wins. Oh my goodness, how do they do that? And it's just always like, blah. That thunderbolt, that lightning bolt. Excuse me. I need a cough button here. But the lightning bolt, it's like anticlimactic. The Chargers, great teams, and the by Dan Fouts, excuse me. Air Coryell, some great playoff victories and stuff, of course. But again, they're just a team that even at their best, it's like not good enough. They chargered it up. It's a verb. It's the antithesis of what they are. Charger, plugging it in, lighting it up. Let's go. It's like the exact opposite happens. And so I think with the Southern California Chargers, they're just second tier of like, oh yeah, you can ride with us to the prom, I guess. Get in the car. But like, what are you? Well, as far as identity, I don't know. I just think I've always been waiting for the Chargers to take this big leap, and they just haven't. It's just like, you're the Chargers. Number 5, I said the Cleveland Browns. I think the Browns have had a lot of tough losses over the years, especially in the postseason when they've been there, of course. I feel bad for them because an iconic franchise that was taken from them, they left, turned into the Baltimore Ravens, and then a few years later came back as an expansion team. That's pretty cool. Remembering when that was happening as a kid. And the city of Cleveland, of course, that guy LeBron abandoned you not once but twice. The Cleveland Indians just can't get it done. And other than that one year with the Cavs, just a city that hasn't really seen any success. Not even the Tigers getting to the World Series and stuff. But I mean, man, poor Cleveland, poor Detroit. 2 teams on here, I think very similar cities, but at least Detroit has seen some championships again in hockey. And I said Cleveland. I say flip that. Excuse me, Cleveland Indians. Yeah, Cleveland, a few big time World Series losses. And at least Detroit with the Pistons and the Red Wings have seen more success as a city than someone like the Cleveland Browns. So that's what I came up with. This wasn't necessarily teams that have never won Super Bowls. Well, let's see, 1, 2. Well, maybe the Jets have, I think. The Browns, I think there have been some world championships in their past, but as far as a fan base, whoever's a fan of these teams, it's just like, you don't know what this is like. You don't know what it's like to be a Chargers fan. Now, a friend of mine wrote on here, what about the Raiders? I said, yeah, the Raiders, fine. But the Raiders always have this great passion. And sure, they haven't been relevant for a long time. They did play in that Super Bowl in the early 2000s. Losing to John Gruden, but the Raiders have 3 Super Bowl championships to their belt. They used to be, the tradition of excellence, and they're always going to have that passion, which is why I don't think their fans are as tortured. And if they are, I kind of like it a little bit, just because a lot of their fan base is kind of low life, if you ask me. Not all of you, well, maybe I am. What's it called? Brainstorming? No, social. It's right on the tip of my tongue. You should not stereotype. I was going to say radio type. It's been a long day. So it's been a long day, guys. Sometimes I just ramble. I did see the Atlanta Falcons on here. 28-3 is definitely the worst. Yes, as far as one singular heartbreaking game, I would say the 28-3 Super Bowl lead over Tom Brady from the Atlanta Falcons has got to be the most tortured for a fan base. Falcons, again, have been there. Super Bowl, let's see, Denver Broncos. Yeah, they've been there. They've been in the mix, a couple Super Bowl appearances, so I'll give them that. Minnesota has to be on the list. 31 playoff appearances without a Super Bowl win. Thank you, Jeff Andrews, for that great stat, sending that one to me. I agree. That one's tough. One of the Detroit Lion fans in here did say one playoff win since 1957. Only one team can say that. So I know that was about the Detroit Lions for sure. But Minnesota, I agree. A team that hasn't been in the mix in a while, gotten to some championship games, some big playoff wins. The Miracle and the Minneapolis Miracle beating the Saints a few years ago. I mean, so there has been some excitement, but I'm talking about overall consistency of just getting like, oh, we thought we had it. Oh, what? We thought we were good. No, we're not. You know what I mean? Like the Jaguars had a great season this year. They're a team that has consistently been bad, but they've never really been. The Cardinals, I wouldn't call them a tortured fan base. They're just not very good, right? Some of these other ones, I think there gets some hype, some great passion in their fan base, and then it fades off. And that's what's great about all this stuff. And I can honestly say the Rams up there a long time. You know, this is what I grew up with, right? And then not only do they leave me, but then in a few years after being in St. Louis, go on a great run of some great championships, appearances, and Super Bowl win and playoff wins, and then back to mediocrity for a long time to LA. So it's a roller coaster with my Rams. I at least get some good moments, some playoff wins, Super Bowl championships every now and then. So you can't really call yourself a tortured fan base if you're in it every, so often and maybe every 5 years, whatever you want to call it. So that was just a brief thought for me about the most tortured fan bases in the NFL. Something that was fun as I'm sitting there watching playoff games this weekend and thinking to myself, I am so glad I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm so glad my team is not here to let me down. It's rather refreshing because for the last few years, Rams in the postseason was definitely driving me crazy. And although I'd rather have them in it, it was kind of nice to just sit back and be like, man, it must be awful to be a Bills fan right now, choking this season away to a far superior team in the Cincinnati Bengals. But definitely some interesting moments there that, I'll get back to, sure, hopefully with my team coming around. But to you tortured fan bases out there, and if you didn't make the list, Godspeed. I'm with you. It's going to be a long spring, a shorter summer, and we'll be back to the hopes and expectations here before you know it. So try to invest in your other teams that probably in the same city that you live or same city as the other teams that you root for, like most normal people. But try to use that as therapy, at least for the time being, to pass the time. All right. I want to get to a few non-serious. Yes. What I just did was non-serious. Now a couple real quick of serious item. First of all, the shooting that occurred in East Los Angeles in Monterey Park, right around the corner from where I'm at now, not too far away, I should say. Very tragic, awful. I cannot believe that another member of the NRA showed up and just started shooting people just because he was an NRA member and they were not. Oh wait, what is it? Hang on. Oh, he was not an NRA member. Oh, I just jumped to that conclusion because I just assumed with all the terrible analysis of we're supposed to hate the NRA, and the NRA is they're guilty, they're responsible for this. Oh, you mean you're supposed to like think before you speak, before facts come out? Oh, you know what? There was a different narrative going on that I just kind of gave you an example of how stupid that was. But yeah, we want to jump to conclusions real quick when these tragedies occur. And I saw our beloved governor asked a question, and he was in a passionate speech about guns and and a reporter asked him directly, "Hey, how did this guy get a hold of guns that are illegal in California?" And he went to kind of preach some more, and it was just like, "Well, we'll look into that." It's like, it's interesting. One of the most restrictive gun states in the entire country. And guys, if you just make these guns illegal, I'm telling you, these things won't happen. And NRA members blamed for this, for shooting up people, which again wasn't the case. But that's the direction it goes, and it's hilarious. Shouldn't say hilarious, apologies, but it's interesting how quickly people like hyenas or vultures at a tragedy. Oh, we can jump on this and here we go. Let's wait. It's got to be this. I get it. Oh, that person did the shooting. Okay, never mind. Well, big deal. We'll leave it alone. Still a tragedy. Yeah, thoughts and prayers, but we'll leave. That's how the media operates with this stuff, which is sad. And I talked to you about the Damar Hamlin thing a few weeks ago. Like, these are the same people that were like, you can't say that might have been COVID vaccine related. You can't even speculate that or throw that out there. These are the same people that will jump at this and be like, this is Asian hate by another Asian guy. It's weird. And then the story just disappears because you can throw so much mud at the wall you want just to see what sticks. And if nothing sticks, you just sit there and a lot of these people, they just walk away. All right, on to the next thing. They politicize everything and it's sickening. So yeah, to the people that lost their lives and the families, I mean, that's just awful, man. And again, we want to talk about mental health when it's only relevant to our situation. It's funny how they never, like, the people that always constantly preach mental health and being mentally, you know, in a safe space and not being triggered or hurt or harmful, you know, all that goes out the window when it's a shooter. Now it's no longer an issue with someone who did the shooting. Well, they were just the gun walked in there and did the damage. And it's also interesting how often when these shootings occur, how do I say this? It's interesting how only sometimes it is newsworthy. I believe there were 30 people shot over the weekend in Chicago. Another just a random weekend there. That's just normal. That's par for the course. But if there's a mass, you know, one incident, they latch on to it and try to manipulate and make it into something that it's not. It's a tragedy. I don't know. There's nothing else you could say about it. It's something awful. There's bad people in this world who want to do bad things, or people that have troubled and having severe mental issues. And you could say mental health has risen in the country from a lot of reasons. You took away people's ability to work. You locked them indoors. There's a lot of reasons why people have suffered, especially kids, from mental health. Their mental health has been affected. And I know sometimes I can get a little aggressive and talk about how I really question some people and I do, because I think it's a crutch for a lot of people. And I know people personally who have suffered from depression, who it is a real thing. And I try to ask them questions and learn about that stuff, because too many times today, I just think anyone's, you know, they don't want to do their chores or they don't want to go to school. It's like, I'm having a bad mental health day, and everyone freaks out because it's like your get out of jail free card sometimes, which there's lots of get out of jail free cards now. I mean, especially in California, they pass them out like COVID masks. Anyway, trying not to joke about this stuff, but at the same time, I'm trying to approach it with the right manner of respect and I don't know, but shedding a light on some of these things. Another thing that happened, Shannon Sharpe. I mean, this guy is an embarrassment, man. He goes on the show, First Take, every morning. He rambles away. You know, he usually throws some race hatred thing in there. And it's just like, dude, what is your deal? He just shouts into the microphone. He can barely put words together sometimes. And I don't think he's that talented. I don't listen to him that often, but I do know that months ago, or however long ago it was, he talked about how NBA players need to feel safe and people in the stands should not feel they have a right to say certain things to players. And then he goes and he's getting in a fight at a Laker game, apparently, with the other team. And what's the guy's name? Morant, John Morant. And it's just like, some of these media personalities, again, they're untouchable because you give them a bunch of money. It's their job to just spew off into a microphone, and they're able to flip their script so quickly. Oh, I felt disrespected. He's not going to talk to me that way. Wait, didn't you say weeks ago the fans don't have a right to just say whatever they want to play? Well, it's like, if there's one thing I hate in life, it's hypocrisy. Yes. But if there's an arrogance to it, this rules for me, but not for thee. You guys can't have gas stoves, but I'm going to fly in a private jet to Davos and have the World Economic World Health Meeting, whatever it is, and talk about why we need to get rid of gas stoves, why people shouldn't have cars. I hate the governors, all the COVID stuff. You're not allowed to, to go out, to wear. You got to wear a mask. You got to have a vaccine. All these things. You can't go out to dinner. I can't. I hate the hypocrisy of this stuff. And if you start actually opening your eyes about some of this stuff, you'll see that, oh man, that happens a lot. These guys, these politicians, Gavin Newsom, as he's talking about the gun laws and how guns are evil and it's the NRA and this and that, he's got literally next to him armed security guards. Now, if you really believed guns were so bad, if you really believed it, this is the thing. Most of the things that come out of their mouths, they don't believe. They don't believe it, but they say it because it gets some popularity. It stirs up people. It manipulates the masses. If you really believed guns were so bad, if you really believed it, you would get rid of your armed security. You would say, we don't need that in this safe space. If you really believed the world was going to end in 12 years, like we were told 12 years ago and 12 years before that, you wouldn't buy a house, a big mansion on the waterfront. You wouldn't do that because you preach to everyone. No, the world's going to end and the seas are going to rise and we can't. If we turn on our gas stoves and we drive cars, the world's going to end. We got to stop air. I fly in private jets, but the world's going to end. But we have climate change because it's just whatever you believe is fine, but just understand, pay attention. When people tells you something, okay, if we'll take it out of politics, we'll take it out of whatever weird beliefs. If someone told you, hey man, don't go to that restaurant. That guy in there, that manager, he's a bad dude. He's I don't want to say he's a what's a bad word? I don't go into that restaurant. That dude is that dude's a communist, not a terrorist. That dude's a racist, whatever. That dude is insert whatever. Don't go in there. That dude's a bad dude. Oh, okay. Yeah, I won't do that. Oh. But then that guy who tells you not to do that then goes into that restaurant and is having a good time and shoving it up with the guy who's in, and you're like, wait a minute, you said not to go in there. Yeah, I'm glad you did. That guy's a bad dude. Yeah, but you went in there. This is what happened repeatedly over and over and over again with the mask thing. I didn't want our politicians to wear masks, but they told you had to wear masks. And the climate thing, like, okay, what is this called? Global warming? Okay, I'm in. I'm listening. Yeah, it's because it's getting hot everywhere. Yeah, no, we got to change the name now because it's getting cold now. Oh, okay, global. Okay, climate change. Okay, I'm still with you. Yeah, we got to stop all this air travel and people driving their own cars. Oh, okay. But isn't that your yacht over there? Isn't that wait, how many houses do you have? If you start listening and paying attention and breaking down the film, if you will, like you watch a football game and see why a play worked, you're going to be like, oh, you're going to connect the dots and you're going to start to see that people are lying to you repeatedly all the time. It drives me crazy. The hypocrisy of it all. And it's what's upsetting is that other people don't see it. People don't see. There were, I want you guys to follow these guys on, what are they called? Wait, here we go. What is this? The WCM, the World Economic Conference or whatever. I mean, this is like Left Behind type stuff. Rebel News. Look them up on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Two guys, not Americans. Avi Yamini, who's from Australia, and Ezra Leverant from Canada. They confronted the Pfizer CEO in Davos for this big, the world's going to end conference. And they asked him very straightforward questions, were extremely respectful, and kept asking the Pfizer CEO about the vaccines. How, hey, when did you know they didn't work? Why did you tell everyone they were safe? Why? Very, very, very just straightforward, respectful questions. And they just follow this guy and they're walking with him and he refuses to answer questions. They keep asking him. Again, Rebel News, check them out. Same thing they did with that, not Gretchen Whitmer. What's the little kid climate climate czar. What's her name? Thunberg, Greta Thunberg. Same thing with her. They asked her some questions, and you know what was interesting? All they did was asking these people questions about climate change, and all these people flew private jets here. Isn't that kind of against, what you think they should be doing? But anyway, back to the Pfizer CEO, and this is just a brief story. They just asked these guys these questions, got no answers from them, right? They wouldn't answer the questions. And that's all they did. We're walking with them, answering questions that they did not answer. At least the Pfizer one, that video is now banned on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Not on Twitter, because Elon Musk doesn't censor. And so the long-winded story there is that not interesting? They banned something about two reporters that you probably don't know asking the Pfizer CEO questions and him not answering the questions. And that got banned on the big tech companies, but not on Twitter, because Elon Musk apparently is the massive censoring demigod. Is that weird? Is that why did they ban it, first of all? And then is it also not funny that why did multiple outlets ban it when all it is the guy not answering questions? Somebody answer that question for me. I don't know. Elon Musk, he's ruining the world. All the free speech is evil. Well, there was no speech in this video, so he kept it up. But it's just an example. Why is it being banned? Why is a video, Dave Rubin, who I listen to every day, the video he put out of Greta Thunberg not answering questions from these guys? Why did that get video demonetized? If you're not paying attention, I don't know what to tell you. I should provide more information and clear information than I am. But we got to start paying attention to these things, man. When a guy says you can't have guns, but I'm going to have armed security, or I'm allowed to have that should raise red flags. Even if you're not a gun person, it's like, wait a minute, what? If someone says, free speech, freedom of the press, but then doesn't answer questions, and then they ban the video, they scrub it when nothing happened, that's a problem. And I know you guys are probably like, well, where are you finding this stuff, Matt? I mean, I don't know. I pay attention during the day. There's plenty of people I listen to, but Dave Rubin's a big one. Dennis Prager, big one. Plenty of people I listen to try to get information from. And sometimes I've pointed in the right direction with some freedom fighters here, like Avi Yamini and Ezra Levant, that I want to get behind and support. So open your horizon, broaden your horizons a little bit, guys, and start, I guess, at least wondering how come some people don't answer questions? The White House press secretary, that woman, she never answers questions. She doesn't answer questions. All she says is, yeah, we discussed this, or what the president has said. She never answers questions. Listen to these things. I know you guys will probably go home and listen to press secretary clips or Rebel News clips, but I don't know. You got to start paying attention in some way. And I'm not the most informed person in the world by any means, but I try to stay updated and at least be like, well, look at this. Look at the reasons why. Don't just tell me what you want me to believe, what you want me to know, but put it in a phrase, put it in perspective for me so that I can follow. I can break down the game film and be like, oh, that's why this play worked. And sometimes plays work just because you got better players or because the other team really messed up. So weird analogy, I know. I'm not going to preach anymore. I'm going to wrap it for the evening. Another late Tuesday night here, but I had to get the podcast in. I had to vent about the Dallas Cowboys and look forward to this upcoming weekend. Happy Wednesday to you as you listen to this, and I hope you enjoy the NFL postseason this weekend. And I know some of you tune in, you hear the football, you're like, oh, I like that, and then you hear some of my other takes, and you're like, oh, what is this? I understand it's not for everyone. I gotta know that whatever audience I have right now is probably the audience I will have for a while. So if you didn't like that or you didn't like that, whatever, it is what it is. You know, I am here every week ranting and rambling away into my microphone. Utter nonsense usually, but just getting things off my chest, off my mind, as it is good for me. It's good for my mental health and good for my well-being. I got the Eagles. I got the Chiefs. Gonna be low scoring in the Chiefs, low scoring one game, maybe not in the other. I'll let you decide. Can't wait for Sunday. It's gonna be an extra day of waiting for us as we got to get all those chores done and things on Saturday. But have a great rest of your week, guys. It's hump day. Hustle through it. Once you are through this day on Wednesday, you'll only have 2 more work days left, and then it is time to enjoy what little bit of January there is left, as this year is rolling faster than expected. It's almost 1/12 of the way done, and we just started it a few short weeks ago. We'll see you next week, guys. Enjoy the games. I'll be back with a recap next week, my reactions, and maybe a breakdown of the upcoming Super Bowl, or take some time off and ramble about other things. Please send me your questions, comments, content suggestions, anything like that. You know where to find me, Matt Hirschma, gethomesafepod@gmail.com or gethomesafepodcast@yahoo.com, I believe, are the 2 email addresses. Or hit me up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Lots of great options. I haven't been censored yet, so you can still find me in a timely manner. We'll see you next week, guys. Enjoy the games once more. But, guys, as always, no matter what you're doing, whether you're out on the town or rounding third base, get home safe.